You make a stunning statement in just over 5 minutes. The moment that a modern woman accepts, as mothers often do, whatever their children are exploring. What is Meg struggling with at the moment of acceptance?
For me, she's straddling two worlds. She's struggling with the weight of what she understands as her own parents' expectations of her, and with the expectations of her child. And she's stuck in the middle, which is something that I really wanted to try to tell visually as well as anything. It's one of the reasons we chose the aspect ratio we chose. She's in a
Interesting. Yeah.
box. Yeah.
Yes. That's interesting. Um, there is a single moment in which Meg is staring at a picture of herself, the image that reflected to society as the pretty girl. What was your direction with Sarah on that moment, if any, and what did you and she talk about in association with that moment?
Yeah, that board that she looks at that has a lot of photos of her, the picture that she lands on in the corner is actually her mom. And
Oh,
and that's a runner throughout the story. There's a missing element there for her. And what I'm hoping to convey is that even though that person is no longer in her life, there is a sense of that presence never leaving us. If she sees her mother, there's the dress that they made together, that is the impetus for the story. And she's reminded of maybe an inner strength that allows her to do the things she does next.
so as you talked about, you're setting up three generations in 2025 for points of view, a particular action, the child, a reflective moment for the mother, and an instinct for her father, who she is caregiving, but still projects a generational patriarchy. As Meg flits between the generations, what is her position as mother in a modern society?
I think mothers now are being asked to more fully trust earlier on that their children are of them but not part of them. A sort of, I think there's more respect now for children,
Hmm.
that they are these beings that we bring into the world to shepherd, but they are not images of us. They are completely separate beings who will have to carve their own path.
Right.
And I do feel like, at least the mothers I know, and obviously Meg is somewhat based on my own story,
Mhm.
um, a much more respectful sense that children are their own beings and not there to serve some purpose for us.
Interesting. That's definitely a generational difference.
Yes.
Um, Female actors continue in the jungle of such a pretty girl as part of their careers. Even with hashtag Me Too, what is still prevalent in your opinion about the male gaze in show business? And what in your view has profoundly changed?
I think it's going to take so long for us to shake centering that male gaze. I mean, I still find myself doing it
Right.
in my day-to-day life. I have to remind myself that that is not the prism through which everything exists. I don't think it's changed that much in Hollywood.
Okay.
What I do think has changed is that more people like me are picking up cameras, are sitting down at a keyboard. And so, uh, what I see happening is a greater representation of our stories in an actually authentic way. It's not to say that men can't write women well. I know a lot of men who do,
Mhm.
but they're never going to be able to write from the experience of being a woman in the world.
Right.
And so I see that changing. And I do think over time, as more of that comes to be, then perhaps we will be just decentering this male gaze.
I don't want to get into politics, but why do you think women are afraid to poke the bear of the patriarchy and believe a daddy figure like Trump who says only he can fix things over their own matriarchal instincts and a candidate that is their gender, especially after a lifelong interaction with what I think are entitled men a lot of times. And I think every woman has dealt with that.
Yeah, just a deeply ingrained misogyny within us. Like I still have to fight it. There is, it's all about power, right? And who has the power. And if you align yourself with the person who has the power, you then, by extension, also have power.
Uh,
That is what I think that's what I think I see in this whole like the trad wife movement, you know. If
yeah,
I toe the line, if I side with the patriarchy, I don't lose my own power. It's very scary to be out in the wilderness by yourself,
that's
right?
true.
There's
Yeah,
a reason that we live as tribes. It's safety in numbers, and for a long time, the numbers were made up of uh, cis hetero white men, Europeans,
right.
and so by aligning ourselves with them, we stay safe, right? That's the sort of big picture of it. And that's where I think it comes from. But I also see so many of the women in my life, and I think I associate with a pretty brave crew, but we are becoming less afraid to say this isn't for me, even if it feels dangerous.
As a filmmaker creator, what themes of your short film intrigue you the most as you work to expand to a feature? And what zeitgeist are you hoping to touch upon in this expansion?
That's a good question. Yeah, the themes for me here, the thing I'm really working out with this piece, and I will be working out with the feature, is the weight of parental expectations on us, no matter how old we are, and how they can, under the wrong circumstances, keep us from actually living authentic lives, the life that's going to make us most ourselves.
Mhm.
The feature has a lot more people in it.
Right.
This is an extended Irish Catholic family. It's
Ah,
three grown sisters who have grown up under the moniker of such a pretty girl, like,
mm,
right? What does it mean to be such a pretty girl? What does it mean today to be that? And they have a very complicated, complex relationship that I also think is uh, um, very funny at times. I think the difference between the short and the feature will be largely one of tone. Because I was trying to keep the short so encapsulated and just deal with the main three characters there.
right.
um, it's a rather straightforward drama. The feature will, from the relationships of this kind of crazy Irish Catholic family, I think have a lot more maybe unexpected moments of humor and that sort of thing. That's kind of where I like to live.
What did you learn about being an actor while in Chicago? And what showbiz structure did you find here that either reflects show business as a whole or defies those conventions? Okay.
Chicago is Chicago, for me initially was very much about the theater scene. And
Uh-huh.
I think what it taught me that maybe doesn't transfer out here is that it matters less what you look like and more what you can embody.
Interesting.
Very different out here. Is
Mhm.
really put in a box once I was out here.
Wow.
Um, and there's also a greater sense. LA has an amazing theater community. I don't want. It is incredible.
Sure.
We're doing work that is as good as anywhere in the nation, and it's massive. And I'm thrilled to be part of it. It's so big. I think that in some ways it can be a little bit harder to the community in Chicago so tight,
Yeah,
for
I
lack
got
of a
you.
better term.
Yeah.
And in fact, once I came out here, I'm actually part of a group that calls itself the Chicago Mafia because I am closer now to Chicago, ex-Chicagoans than I was. I mean, I have a greater circle of ex-Chicagoans here than I even had when I was in Chicago.
Right.
Um, the interesting thing is that, while in Chicago, there's not that much TV and film. There is some, but it's not really where you go to do that.
Right.
I did get my SAG card in Chicago,
Oh,
there
good.
was a show called Cupid on at the time, and I got my very first co-star. And in a very strange twist of events, I started dating the creator of that show 8 months ago. And we
Wow.
only discovered on our first date that he had been the person to hire me for my first SAG job.
Holy
It
cow.
totally crazy, right?
This is Patrick McDonald for HollywoodChicago.com. Copyright 2025.